And we are live. And don't worry. Do not worry, everybody. I am doing Maria Bartiromo Watch. I am on Trump Watch. So as soon as he comes on, I'll flip it over to that and we'll all shut up and watch and listen. Until then, hello and welcome to the second, or I guess it's the third. It's the second real FloatStream. The third that if you include the test, which I think we should. It's like half of the views of all live streams. So welcome to the third one. Thank you for joining. If you have not yet, make sure you click the like button. That'll help other people see this. Subscribe if you've not yet. Share this link. Go post it somewhere. That would make me hot behind the ears in a good way. And then, like I said, we're watching for this right now. Trump is supposed to be on with Maria tonight at 7. Well, it's 7:02. So any moment when he comes on, I'll flip it over to him. But before we do, and since he's not on yet, and again, I am watching like a hawk, like an eagle, let's just look at some of the dumb things that the news will not talk about. They won't show you this. They won't need to. You said the volume is low. Well, way too low. Can't hear you. Uh-oh. Hang on. Can you hear me now? Is this any better? Can you hear this now? Turn your voice up. Can't hear you. How about now? Volume is low. How about this?
Well, I can tell you that would be the end of the Senate as it was originally divided.
Audio is all right for me.
Back to our founding fathers. We have to.
I'm listening to your comments here. Before we move forward, I want to make sure that you can hear this. Hello. Yes. Can't hear you. Can you hear this? How is this? Do I need to turn it off and turn it back on? Much better. Better. Scale of 1 to 10. Like how bad is it? It just needed more gain. Good here. Smidge more. All good. What if it's just there? What if it's right there? Better. Good now. Well, I don't want to turn it up any much more louder than that. This mixer is going to be fickle either way, so I apologize. If it's a 10 out of 10 now, Vincent Harris, thank you. Cool. All right. You can hear this, though, for the record. No, it's good. Better, but still low. I think it's good. People better check their audio first. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I fucked around with this for an hour before we could start, so I thought this was good. Anyways, 6, 5. 5 out of 10? Still? I hope that it's higher now. I know there's a little bit of lag and latency in the chat. I'll keep moving, and hopefully it'll be better as we move forward. So you saw this. Donald Trump's going to be on with Maria at 7 o'clock. And I said, let's just look at some of the news that the normies will not be getting from Fox, from CNN, from MSNBC, or anybody else. Good? Does that work? Now I can see the lag. Okay, that's helpful. Now I understand what you're even responding to. See, I'm learning to stream. The test stream was really just like technically testing. This is now actually like trying to figure out how to host a stream. So again, this is what we're going to be talking about. It's news that the normies will not see on a TV screen in their living room. They'll hardly probably see these links, which is why I want to kind of aggregate them. And you can, that person at work that says, hey, did you see this? How do you support Trump when he did that? That is the kind of person that I want to have find this stream and say, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. Where did they find this? And then they'll see that this is a Newsweek article. They'll see that it's not obscure right-leaning news. This is really the real news that is just hidden, and they don't connect the dots. They don't think. They don't want to critically analyze how these news stories even connect or make sense in a mosaic. For a term that the left loves to use, they don't like to think in that way. Right? I'm full volume, and it seems like you're at 70%. Yeah, I'll have to keep tinkering around with it. I'm sorry for that. The only thing I can think to do is to come over here and just, yeah, no, that's it. That's as high as this will go. I'll have to just speak really loudly. Sorry for you guys. Should I, what do you want me to do? Well, you know what? Here, hang on. Hang on. Oh, hang on. I can do one more thing. I can do just one more thing. How about that? We'll wait for that to kind of kick in. Wait for that to kind of kick in. Wait for that to kind of kick in. I'm really going to be watching the chat now because I need to know for the gain, for the volume. I don't have any kind of feedback on this end. Otherwise, you'd hear like a giant echo and a feedback loop. Sorry for everybody watching this. It's only 25 people so far. Thank goodness. You're loud and I'm at half volume. No, they on crack. Okay. well. How about this? Since it looks like it's yellow on my end and it's going to be all rattly and nasty, that should be pretty good right there. Hope you can hear that. Hope you can hear that. That seems like you should be able to hear it pretty good. Okay. All right. Better now. I'm better now. All right, here we go. The IRS, big operation, not so secret. They actually want you to know it's a big thumb in your eyeball. Operation Hidden Treasure. If you have any kind of cryptocurrency, Ethereum, Bitcoin, anything else, doesn't matter, library coin. If you have a Bitcoin wallet, whether it's hardware, software, does not matter. If you have crypto, the IRS is going to be looking into transaction history in crypto exchanges. So if you didn't claim that you spent a bonus or you had some cash and you went and you bought some Bitcoin, you bought some bytes, you bought some bottle caps, what the IRS is going to do, and they have done this already, they've subpoenaed from the different crypto exchanges all of the transaction history. So they will see who bought Bitcoin and when and how much. And did you claim it? And will you on your taxes? And if you think that the Biden IRS isn't above doing what the Obama IRS did, targeting any conservatives and people who are putting and hiding money off site in some cases, like the Tea Party, you remember. That is exactly what I expect to happen here. So I wanted to show this story because, again, I don't think normies will see that the IRS is going to go after people who are buying Bitcoin, big or small. It says some people seem to think that since analytical tools weren't available in the early days of crypto, that their name is not on the blockchain and that it isn't trackable. Also, IRS guidance and compliance priorities haven't been high in the priorities in the past due to newness and the small size of crypto. But guess what, y'all? When Tesla takes $1 billion of its cash value and puts it in holdings in Bitcoin instead as an investment, because cash isn't going to grow in terms of its value and it may actually shrink because the dollar is dying, but Bitcoin will grow. So they put $1 billion of their holdings in Bitcoin. That makes the IRS go, hey, that makes the SEC go, hey, we ought to be looking at what other companies are holding Bitcoin. Apple's $1 trillion in cash. How much Bitcoin are they holding? Do they even tell you? They have to tell the SEC, but are they telling you? Of course not. So the IRS requires Coinbase, a major Bitcoin exchange, to prepare a report on cryptocurrency holders and their transactions. So if you thought that Coinbase or your coin wallet or whatever else it is, won't get louder without eating the mic. Well, I mean, I can eat the mic. I can turn it up. I can eat the mic. The problem is I just am worried about the feedback. Anywho, the reality is this. They're going to tax your crypto wallet. If you hold any kind of cryptocurrency, they're going to ask the exchange to report it for you. That's going to be taxed additionally. So thank you again for joining. I know we're still probably getting a few people on. If you have found this stream from Salty Cracker or from Frank or from Styx or from Tim Pool or from anybody else who has given us a shout out, I sincerely appreciate that support that I paid for. And in some cases, just like super chats and stuff. And then also just wanted to tell you, if you didn't catch the beginning, Trump will be speaking here. Oh, he's on the phone. Oh shit, he's on the phone. You guys should have said something. Hang on, hold please.
They could have it finished in a month, and it would be just magnificent. It already is magnificent what it's done in the areas where it's totally completed, but just small sections are remaining, and they should finish it. But they're destroying our country. people are coming in by the hundreds of thousands. Young children are coming in, and they leave their homes and they come up because they think it's going to be so wonderful. And frankly, our country can't handle it. It is a crisis like we've rarely had, and certainly we've never had on the border. But it's going to get much worse. I mean, what you're seeing now is very bad, record numbers, but it's going to get much, much worse. With a little bit of time, you'll see those numbers expand at a level like you've never seen before.
Well, you had 400 plus miles of new wall constructed, Mr. President. Of course, you did a deal with Mexico to share the burden of the illegal immigration. The Remain of Mexico policy was something I know that you and Secretary Pompeo worked on for a long time. Is there any way to reverse that? What would be your advice for the Biden administration to stop the bleeding at the border?
Well, I have great respect for the president of Mexico. He's a great gentleman. We had a very good relationship. They had 28,000 soldiers on our border while we were building the wall. They had 28,000 soldiers not allowing people to come into our country, and they were also stopping them at their northern border by Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala. They were stopping them so they wouldn't come through Mexico, and we had it really down to a good system. And as the wall was finished, they could remove soldiers, but they still had the same 28,000. And we had a great relationship. They understood that I was playing with tariffs if they didn't do that, but we never had to do that to Mexico because the relationship that we developed was very, very good, very close. And we stopped what was coming into Mexico at their northern border. They stopped that, and they stopped it at our southern border. So we had very few people coming in, and we also stopped human trafficking. When I say stopped it, made a tremendous dent like has never been made before, and also drug trafficking. So we did a lot of things, and all of that is now eroded. Today, they're coming in. You take a look. They're coming in from all foreign countries. I see they're coming in now from Yemen. They're coming in from the Middle East. They're coming in from everywhere. They're dropping them off, and they're pouring into our country. It's a disgrace. They're going to destroy our country if they don't do something about it.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about this and the implications. There are sexual assaults. Mexico's president said that the cartels view President Biden as the migrant president. Look, President Trump, you've had a little time now to sit back and think about all of this. I want to get your take on President Biden's agenda, including the border, but also this stimulus package, the idea that we are on the doorstep of much higher taxes. What would be the impact, in your view, on an economy that is just beginning to recover?
Well, it was recovering under my administration twice. We got it to a level that the world has never seen before. We were the envy of the world, and then when we got hit by as I call it, the China virus, COVID, it obviously went down along with every other economy, and then we were the first to get it back up. And the stock market when I left was slightly higher than it was even at the prime prior to COVID. So it was incredible what we were able to do. If you look at the jobs numbers, we had the all-time highest number of jobs. We had 160 million people working. We were never close to that. Everything we had, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, everybody was setting records. Women, it didn't matter. Any group was setting records. And now when I look at what's happening, we were energy independent. Very shortly, we will no longer be energy independent. Gas prices are going up at a far more rapid rate than anybody's seen in a long time. We had gas prices very low, and yet we had more energy jobs than we've ever had. But, you know, when you see gas prices going up, and they'll be going up by $1, $2, $3, if you look at that, and that's, you know, it's bigger than a tax increase. To the consumer, you get a $1 increase in gasoline, that's bigger than a tax hike, than a big tax hike. So it's a terrible thing that's happening. And then let's talk about tax hikes. They'll be raising taxes at the highest number that we've ever seen. It'll be the biggest tax increase in the history of our country to pay for everything. And it's a very devastating thing. It's a very sad thing to watch. Fortunately, in my administration and through what I did, frankly, and others, but what I did with the FDA is I forced them to move quickly, and we got the vaccine done in 9 months instead of 5 years. I don't think it would have ever been done, frankly, because according to their rules and regulations, they would have never had it. But we got a vaccine done in 9 months, and fortunately, that's not only going to save our country, it's going to save the world.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. President, because we just heard from President Biden last week on Thursday. He gave his first primetime speech, as you know, and he said that when the coronavirus first showed up, and that was at the beginning of 2020, when we did have a 3.5% unemployment rate, as you just noted. But he said that when the coronavirus first arrived, it was met
that's not
with
really for Trump.
silence for
That's not his
days
fault.
and weeks and then months. There was no word of your Warp Speed program. How are you feeling tonight about the fact that you're not getting any credit for any of this by the Biden administration? In fact, even when it comes to the border, Nancy Pelosi this weekend said that the Biden administration inherited the border issues from the Trump administration.
So when you go to the COVID issue, we did a great job. We get very little credit for it. I closed the country far earlier. Dr. Fauci and Birx and all of these people that frankly made nothing but mistakes. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to close it to China. I closed the border to China. I closed the border to Europe. Italy and all these countries that were having tremendous problems long before they wanted me to do it. And if you look at Biden, he didn't want to do it months afterwards. And then ultimately he admitted that he made a mistake in saying that. If I didn't do that, we would have had hundreds of thousands of more lives gone. But the big thing is I've always felt it was the most important is the vaccine. The key was always going to be the vaccine. And when Biden got the vaccine in December, and on January 20th, he made a statement that he doesn't think we have vaccines. Now, I don't know, did he make that statement as a statement, or did he not actually know we had the vaccine? What's going on there? But he got his shot. He got his first shot on December 21st, I believe. So with the vaccines and with the job we've done with COVID, I inherited an empty cupboard. Biden failed very badly with the H1N1, with the, as you know, he had a chance to do something, and they had a tremendous failure. H1N1, it was a disaster. And now he's taking over this. What he's taken over, Warp Speed, we had it, our military, what they've done in terms of delivery has been incredible. Yeah. And we gave up to 1.3 million shots a day before he even took over. So not only did we have the vaccine, and one thing we did, we took a big bet on this. We started manufacturing the vaccine before we really knew it worked. We saved many, many months and millions of lives by doing that, because you wouldn't have the vaccine right now if we didn't take that chance. We knew what we were doing. We knew
you've not yet,
that
drop a comment in the chat. Let me see your names. Let me see who's watching
and the risk was spending billions of dollars to develop it before we knew and before we had the approval that it was going to work. It works incredibly well, 95%, maybe even more than that. It works incredibly well. And it's really saving our country, and it's saving, frankly, the world.
So, Mr. President, I know that you received the vaccine. Mrs. Trump also got the vaccine. Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly. But, you know, again, we have our freedoms, and we have to live by that, and I agree with that also. But it's a great vaccine. It's a safe vaccine, and it's something that works. And we've been working round the clock. And what I got the FDA to do, this would have happened. This would have happened in many, many years from now if I didn't get involved, and if we didn't get involved.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I remember you were talking about, when you were in office, you were talking about the meeting that you held with the major pharmaceutical company heads, and you were garnering all of their support to work together to ensure that a vaccine was on the market as soon as possible. And you said that one issue that you were trying to do was to alleviate any bureaucracies
Karma and
within
Kerosene,
the FDA.
what's up? Michigan
How
Free,
was it
what's
that
up?
You were able
Noah
to
Sheffy, what's up?
encourage a vaccine on the
Rakangle,
market within 9
how are
months.
you?
That was quite
Mission
extraordinary.
musician, not for me, dude. Not
Well,
for
I
me.
wouldn't say the
I'm not with
FDA
you.
loves me, but I pushed them very, very hard, harder than they've ever been pushed. And a number of the people in the FDA admitted that, and at the end they were very happy. But they did not like me. In fact, they
Sprite,
wanted to
I'm really
announce
happy to
it
hear you
sometime
getting the
after the
notifications.
election
That's good.
because
If anyone's having
they
notification trouble,
I
you're
think
not
most
alone.
people knew we
Seems
pretty
like
much
most
had
people.
the vaccine before the election, but they wanted to announce it along with the drug companies who are not fans of mine because if you look at favored nations and all of the things I've done to bring down drug prices, nobody's ever done what I've done. But that cost the drug companies a lot of money. In fact, they took tens of millions of dollars of commercials. So they wanted to announce the vaccine after, and I understand that, but somebody had to do it. You will see drug prices.
Yep.
If Biden leaves it alone, you will see drug prices. Favored nations means we get the price of the lowest nation. Whoever pays the lowest, we get that price. Right now, we're the highest in the world. We will be the lowest in the world, meaning tied for the lowest in the world. The drug companies were very unhappy with that. They never thought anybody would do it, but I did it. So with the vaccine, I pushed the FDA at a level that they've never been pushed before, and they got it done in 9 months instead of 5 years. Now, the 5 years I think would have never happened because I don't think they would have ever gotten it done.
Yep. Mr. President, I want to ask you about future elections and your thoughts on this H.R. 1 bill that the Democrats are pushing. But first, let's talk about the Washington Post and what took place yesterday, with the Washington Post being forced to correct what you told the Secretary of State of Georgia. The Washington Post initially accused you of a crime based on fabricating quotes, and the rest of the media ran with it. The Post correction says this: the recording revealed that the Post misquoted Trump's comments on the call based on information provided by a source. Trump did not tell the investigator to find the fraud or say she would be a national hero if she did so. I know you put out a statement about this story, Mr. President, but tell us what your reaction is that the Washington Post had to correct this fake news that they reported that you told the Secretary of State of Georgia to find the fraud and find the votes right before the Senate race.
It was, and it probably affected the Senate race, but it was a terrible thing. And I will say this, I was very happy that the Washington Post had the courage, or whatever you want to call it, to at least
You know that
admit their
absolutely
mistake.
affected the Senate
I
race.
hope it was a mistake,
in Georgia,
but I think
for
probably
the
it
Secretary
came
of
from
that state
the people in Georgia
to say,
that run an
the Secretary
election
of State
process
of the
that
state of
frankly
Georgia, to
is
come out and say,
just absolutely.
oh yeah, you know what? Trump asked me to go find the fraud. Trump asked me to go find the fraud. They're asking if that had an effect? Yeah, come on.
Didn't hear it because it didn't exist, but they were told something that didn't exist, and it made me sound bad. And I think, when I heard it, I said, that's ridiculous. I never said that. One thing I will say, the Washington Post did a correction. A lot of pressure was put on them, but they did a correction because they realized what they did was wrong. So now you have to find out, was it the Washington Post's fault or the people that run the elections in Georgia? Because the people that run the elections in Georgia, they have to be looked at, whether it was the Secretary of State or, frankly, the governor of the state. Things went on there between the presidential election, which I can tell you about, or you look at the two Senate elections. That is such a shame that happened. Everything that you've been talking about on your show today is affected by those two seats. Those two seats are devastating that we lost. And the Republicans, frankly, were fighting for $600 versus $2,000. And that was the only ad that the Democrats took. That was a disaster. They should not have been doing that. Mitch McConnell made a tremendous mistake. He lost those two seats.
Well, I don't understand why the other networks at the time, Mr. President, said that we have confirmed this independently, that he said find the fraud. I mean, how is it possible that we have now the tape. You said nothing of the sort. Find the fraud.
Right.
And this is the quote that they all went with, and they said that they verified it independently. How is that possible?
Actually, when you hear the tape, you would say Donald Trump may be the most honest person. It was a beautiful and perfect statement, and the Washington Post saw that when they heard it. And I guess they were relying on the statement without hearing what was said, but they were relying on the statement made by people in Georgia that run the elections. It's a very terrible thing, a very, very terrible thing for our country. What took place in Georgia, but not only Georgia, what took place in Pennsylvania, what took place in Detroit, Michigan, and Michigan generally, what took place in Wisconsin and Arizona, it is a disgrace. We're like a third world country.
We had mail-in balloting because of COVID, but now Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want this H.R. 1 to stand. They want it to pass the Senate so that mail-in ballots could be the standard. What are your thoughts on H.R. 1, Mr. President? But first, will you run again?
Well, let me ask you, let me answer the first question. The other question, I think it would be a disaster for our country. It would be very unfair. The Democrats use COVID in order to do things that they can't believe they got away with. What they did, and they didn't get their legislatures to approve. And by the way, in the Constitution, you have to do that. And our Supreme Court and our courts didn't have the courage to overturn elections that should have been overturned, because you're talking about decisive amounts, hundreds of thousands and even millions of votes. They didn't have, in the Constitution, it says the state legislatures have to approve changes. They made massive changes early, just before the election in some cases, and they made massive changes that not even mentioning all of the other things and all of the dishonesty in the election, the state legislatures did not approve these changes. Therefore, they're not allowed. And the Supreme Court, they didn't rule on the facts. They ruled on standing. Well, you don't have standing to bring it. The Supreme Court should be ashamed of itself.
Well, I mean, this H.R. 1, that would federalize these elections. So going forward, can a Republican win again if H.R. 1 becomes law?
If they allow that to happen, if it's allowed to happen, I think your Republicans will have a very hard time getting elected. What will happen is the Democrats will be able to do what they did in the 2020 election, and even worse, potentially even worse. It's set up. It is a setup that they can't believe, and it's because of the fact that the Republicans lost 2 seats that they never should have lost in Georgia, and they never should have, if they were watching and doing their job, they should have never lost the presidential election in Georgia or 5 other swing states. Should have never happened. When you look at what they did, and when you look at the dishonesty and all of the things that took place in that election, this should have never happened. And they have to stop that,
Mr. President,
bill.
so what about it? What about it? Will you run again, Mr. President? Are you considering 2024?
Well, based on every poll, they want me to run again, but we're going to take a look and we'll see. We have first steps first. We have to see what we can do with the House. I think we have a very, very good chance of taking back the House. We did a great job. You know, you're going to lose from 15 to 25 seats the last time. I got involved. I worked very hard. I made tremendous amounts of meetings, speeches, and teleconferences and everything else for 56 of them. I had 56 basic teleconferences with thousands of people on the line on each one. And what happened is we ended up winning 15 seats instead of losing potentially 25 seats. That's a big swing. And it almost cost Nancy Pelosi a job. I think we have a chance of taking back the House. I think we have a chance to do better in the Senate. We need leadership in the Senate, which, frankly, we don't have. We need better leadership in the Senate. You have a good chance to take back the Senate. And, frankly, we'll make our decision after that. But you know what? If you take a look at the polls, Maria, when you take a look at what's happening on our southern border, when you take a look at what's happening with energy independence, which will be gone in 2 months, and we had it for the first time ever. We had it.
That's a soundbite you got to isolate.
When you take a look at all of the things, and then when you add the fact that I was the one, and this administration was the one that came up with a vaccine, which is going to save the world, okay? It's going to save. We would be, I think, worse than 1917, where 50 to 100 million people died. The vaccine is such a big thing. When you add it all up, I think we'll do very well in 2 years, and I think we're going to do very well in 4 years.
Is there anyone, if you weren't going to run, is there anyone that you think of that is a front runner behind you right now?
Well, I like a lot of them, and a lot of them I've been responsible for. You know, I mean, I've endorsed people that won. I've endorsed people that didn't have a chance, and as soon as I endorsed them, they went up by many, many points,
Yeah.
and they won. And I'm doing that again. You know, it seems that the endorsements carry a lot of weight, and that's good.
Isn't it? Yes, they do. Mr. President, I'm glad you came on to talk about all of the success that you had in your term, because it certainly was significant. As we wrap up here, Mr. President, what was your take on Meghan Markle now saying she, meeting with Democrat operatives, she may want to run for president?
Well, I hope that happens, because if that happened, then I think I'd have an even stronger feeling toward running. I'm not a fan of hers. I think that what she talks about the royal family and the Queen, I happen to think I know the Queen, as you know. I've met with the Queen, and I think the Queen is a tremendous person, and I'm not a fan of Meghan.
Mr. President, it's wonderful to catch up with you once again. Please come back soon. Stay well.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Donald J. Trump. Coming up, the Biden administration is set to hold its first.
Yeah, that's about as much Fox News as I think I can handle. I think that's about as much as I want to have in my life from them at any point in time. I like Maria. I mean, she's a nice lady, as much as you can say that about any lady. She's a nice lady. But when it comes time to have Trump hang up the phone, I give it a click, and then we're done. No more Fox. Sorry, guys. We can look at the fox. You can look at the fox. You can pet the fox, but you can't bring the fox home. The fox is done. You have to leave the fox outside where it belongs. Let's look at the Newsweek. We did this one. IRS targeting anyone who has crypto. Because why would you make life easy on people? This is what they were referring to in that interview. I guess I'm just psychic. I was going to say psychotic, but it's psychic. Well, 50% of one. Anywho, this is a recording of that call, definitively proves the quotes by the Washington Post that they claimed they had confirmed with sources who were familiar with the conversation, right? This is how they always do it. We've got an anonymous source. They confirmed this. They are very close to this. They are familiar with it. Here you go. That was parroted by other outlets, and they're never really said by the president at all. So they're fake quotes. They fake confirmed, and here's how we know. Because as they're doing a random cleanup on some old computers, some old files come up, and they see, what is this? It's a deleted recording. That's funny. We should look at that. We should listen to it. And they do. And it's this conversation. And so it's leaked. And now they know NBC, USA Today, ABC, PBS, and CNN. CNN's not a surprise, but PBS, you guys all claimed that you independently confirmed this. You called the source. Mr. Source, I'd like to know, did this happen? And you said on your honor, as a news publication, as a credible news source for information that we need in our lives to check power, you told us, yeah, we did that. And yes, this is true. And now we have an actual verified recording that proves you did not do that. So you can tell us, well, we did confirm it and the source was lying. That's what they say here. Maybe that's true. Or maybe you all call, yeah, right. You all called the same person and they just lied to all of you, or you all lied. You all made it up just because you wanted to run the copy. You got a copy of the story and you're like, well, the only way that we can do it is if we say that we confirmed it. Well, easy way to do that. Claim you confirmed it. It's pretty simple. And that's what they were talking about in the call. So again, I guess this is not only now normie news, but this is now news for normies and sometimes things that we'll see also. Sometimes it's important to highlight it again, right? Here's a highlight for you. Whoa, the Vatican is officially declaring, and by the Vatican, I mean the Pope. The Pope doesn't really speak for the whole Vatican. Oh, he does? He speaks for the whole Vatican? Okay, fine. I guess as a Catholic, raised Catholic, I have to concede that the Pope speaks for the church. The church would tell you that the Pope speaks for God, is the closest thing to a living saint that we would have. The Pope is supposed to interpret God's word here for us today. Why is the news interpreting the Pope's word for us here today? That's not the way it's supposed to work. The Pope come out like a year ago and had said, that abortions are okay and that being gay is okay and that we should accept both in the church and that people that live in sin and people that have committed mortal sin should still accept the Eucharist, and all of which is blasphemy. That was antagonistic to the religious right. Okay? It just was. You saw headlines that says the church is now pushing for this, and everyone said rabble, 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 rabble. And now you have him kind of doubling back a little bit, because they want to confuse you, whether it's name any content creator or news pundit who will tell you the news is confusing, and it's intended to be, because they want you to feel rattled. They want you to feel like reality is not really something that you can grip and grasp and is tangible. So here's the Pope now saying to you, if you even try to bless a same-sex marriage, that is an illicit behavior. For a priest or a rabbi or any religious leader to give a blessing to a gay religion, or a gay relationship, that blessing is by itself a sin of the person committing the blessing. That is what the Pope says here. We don't need to read the entire article. We can just rail on the fact that the Pope has come out again to condemn the gays, right? We're back to normal, for real. Like for real. The Pope got woke during Trump. But nope, now the Pope is right back to telling you that same-sex marriages are just as bad. This is what the context is. It's just as bad as people who sleep with other people and are not married together, right? So it's there's a little bit of context here, right? We're not going to dive deeply into the church. You can do that on Sunday. This is Tuesday. Tuesday is for the normies. So let's talk about the army going after General Flynn. This is kind of the big story, the big hype of the evening. This is what I kind of wanted to focus on before I heard that Maria was taking Donald Trump at 7 o'clock. So that took a big bite out of the time that we'd had prepared, but we can still look at what I think would be otherwise the keystone of the stream. So this is the Army now reviewing Pentagon investigation into Michael Flynn's dealings with Russia and the foreign entities. And this is not an article from 2017 and early 2018. This is an article from a couple days ago. This is 2021. They're back on the Russia thing. They actually never really got off of it. Kind of like the kid who's got just a bag of seemingly unlimited pennies. Imagine the biggest Crown Royal bag you can think of, filled with pennies, and he's sitting on that horse at the Walmart, and he's just going to ride it forever. That is the left media on this Russia narrative. Forget that it's fake. Forget that it's so fake that we have memes for years that have been banned. We have content creators who got famous for making memes mocking this, who are now banned and are now no longer famous, carpe diem. The life cycle of someone's fame has come and gone in the time that we have already known this was a fake story. But now, the army being led by, I guess, well, you've seen the people leading the military lately, they're going to go into this. This says from CNN. So granted, this could all be total clickbait because it's CNN. The Pentagon's internal watchdog has finished a long-delayed investigation into Michael Flynn and sent its findings to the Army for final review that could possibly bring financial penalties against the military retirement benefits afforded to the retired Army 3-star general. So they're going after his retirement, they're going after his pension and anything else they can get. It's unclear, they go on, when the Defense Department may announce its decision. The Washington Post first reported this referral to the Army. Former President Donald Trump pardoned Flynn, his national security advisor, last November, an action that wiped away the guilty plea Flynn made in 2017, then withdrew in 2020 for lying to the FBI about his contacts with Russia during a 2016 presidential transition. The Defense Department's Office of Inspector General had opened its investigation in April of 2017, looking into money that Flynn received from Russia and Turkish entities after his retirement from the service, because he's running a consultancy, you dorks. He's running a private business. Yeah, he's going to be receiving money from Turkish and Russians, and you know what? A bunch of other people too, in the Ukraine, and any other allies that he has that are going to feed him money and give him dirt on the people that are corrupting the United States. That is not illegal, by the way. Running a consultancy up until the point that you're asked to be the NSA isn't illegal. It's kind of his whole business. You guys don't do enough research on Flynn. You just know he's a military guy. He worked for Obama until Obama fired him. Why did Obama fire him? Maybe it's because Flynn knew what they did to SEAL Team 6. the guy who's the president now, the resident of the United States, choke in chief, Biden, what he did to SEAL Team 6. And if you're not familiar with that, this is not the stream, but we will talk about it someday. The investigation was put on hold as special counsel Robert Mueller's probe got underway into the Russian interference, but they say on April 11, 2017, the DoD, OIG, that's Office of Inspector General, initiated an investigation into an allegation, good lord, you guys, that retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn failed to obtain required approval from the Army and the Department of State before receiving any emolument from a foreign government. So he had to go and ask permission before he can go and work for free, or go and work on his own for that matter, work freely, in other words. They're going to go after Flynn. They're going to have the media go after him, string him up again. This is just one of many, many, many stories that you're going to see on Flynn, because as they say, there's no word yet as to what the State Department will do, what the Defense Department will do. But mark my words, they'll do something. And when they say, okay, Flynn, sorry, you get no pension, you get no retirement, they take away any new income he'd have, they bar him from doing any new work, and then you know what's going to happen? Then the lawsuits come. Then the civil suits come, and they'll bleed him dry, and they want him to look like that old skeleton from SpongeBob. As sad as it is, that's what they want. And that's what they're going to get if they have their way. So, kind of sad. Now, this is what I think of CNN. This is what other people think of CNN. But I wanted to put this back to back because, of course, if you're looking at CNN trashing Flynn, it's important to know that they make up virtually 50% of what they're covering at any given point in time. Half of the facts they give are made up, and half of what they're sharing is made up. Their opinions are fake, and they're all just talking points, aren't they? So, Watchman for you. Thank you. Appreciate that. H. Jansma. Thank you for comments, by the way. I see a lot of the people that are commenting on the stream are also the people that comment on videos. So I appreciate that. And I am reading them through. Just passing through. Wokeness is the death of society. Saying no and fighting back stops everything. Exactly right. And you saw the meme that says the nightmare ends when your capitulation ends, or whatever it is. It said something to that effect, right? It said, this all ends when your obedience ends, when you stop obeying. And that's kind of the point, right? Do you guys see this? I don't know who Zazie Beats is, but I saved this because I thought it was interesting. Look at every comment, if you can see the screen there. I'll read a bunch of them. It says, so there aren't any good black men out there. This is obviously a famous woman. I think she's an actress. I think I've seen her in something before, maybe. And I don't know what he does or who he is, but Zazie Beats on her Instagram posts this picture. The Grammys were the other night. Maybe she's a musical artist. I don't know. The Grammys are the other night. She posts this on her Instagram, and they say, so what, there aren't any good black men for you? SMH, too fine for him. Hope that ain't your man. White? LOL. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Shame. Sigh. LOL. Nobody's mad. You're just a hypocrite. White guy, always white. Yuck. Do better. Plenty of black men out there. Can you tell yet that they're just really, really angry? That here is a, I believe, mixed race girl, or very, very light-skinned black girl, dating someone who is nearly the same skin color as she. But the ethnicity is not there. He is clearly white. White. So, unfortunately for her and her Instagram and her notifications and her comments, this is what she gets. White man lover, you race traitor. This is despicable. These comments are evil. And this is the racism that you expect to find when you ask the left for comments and examples of racism on the right? They don't have any. So instead they'll tell you, well, it's innate. It's institutional. Really? I can show you perfect examples of racism. It's just only your guys' stuff. It's the left behavior. It's not us. And if you can show it to me, I'd love to see it. Here's another example of the left being racist. Because last time I checked, the universities and colleges in the United States are not run by the conservatives. For the most part, I know of like one. It's called Hillsdale College. It doesn't take any money from the state or from the Fed, the state. So it can't be told what to do, and the curriculums are entirely written by based conservatives that stay at that school. This is also from Newsweek. Fact check. Is Columbia University hosting graduation events based on race and gender? Yeah, they fucking are. Yeah, they really are. They're hosting 6 different graduation ceremonies so that you can divide yourselves, and if you don't, we will, based on race, identity, being gender, or sex, depending on which one you want to use to your advantage, and then class. How rich or how poor are you? Hey, teacher, I don't want to graduate with none of them rich white kids. That's fine. You probably won't. This is Columbia University, so it's a little different. They say the prestigious Columbia University in New York has attracted attention after it was reported to be holding 6 additional graduation ceremonies for its students based on race, gender, sexuality, and income. You guys, we're not supposed to do segregation anymore. And these are the intelligentsia. These are the smart people. These are the people that'll have degrees on the wall behind them instead of a flag. I have a degree. I don't put it on the wall because it's useless. And it's not from Columbia. If it were, it would be more useless. Complementing our school and university-wide ceremonies, these events provide a more intimate setting for students and guests to gather, incorporate meaningful cultural traditions, and celebrate the specific contributions and achievements of their communities. Now, what that really means is 2 things. Well, maybe a couple. We don't want you to muck up our nice pearl necklace, white collar, black tie event. We won't say who you are, but the traditions that you want to carry at your ceremonies, we don't want it involved. We'd like to have a little, ting, 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 everyone listen to me. That's what they want. And so they will say it's for serving the other purpose. Hey, you guys would prefer a more comfortable setting where you can have your traditions away from us evil white oppressors, right? And they go, yeah. We don't want to be around the white oppressors. They go, good. Now you go have your little ceremony away from us, and we'll have ours the way that we want. And that is how these high, big brain lefties think. They realized a long time ago, shit, we can't be open and obtuse and angry about our racism, so we have to be cutting and acute with it and varied, oh, how sad. Oh, you want your own space? Here, I'll put a lock on it from the outside so you're safe. Right? That's what this is. So, yeah, segregating your graduation may seem like it's no big deal if you're offering it as an option. But when it becomes an option now, it will become tradition in 5 years. In 10 years, there's no longer the option. And then, boom, you've got segregation. And it only took half a generation's time. That's what we're going to see here. So when you read Newsweek and you see segregated graduations, don't see it as they're giving people a choice to feel comfortable. Because the comfort goes both ways. The comfort's going to be for the lowest denominator, but also you're going to have that pedestal class that wants its comfort, and you won't be able to choose to be a part of that. You just won't. You'll be poor, or you won't be the white race, yeah, or the right race as they see it, and you won't know who they are right now. Like I said, this is all just an offering to whomever wants to be part of the segregated graduation, and who would. But apparently some students will. This is how I react to that. I say, if you want to have a segregated graduation, I think you're a racist. I am going to be a super not racist or a super anti-racist, whatever it is, that says, I don't hate white people. I don't hate anyone based on their color of their skin or their ethnicity. Or you know what? I'll even go so far as to say I'm an anti-bigot. I'm a super anti-bigot. I'm the opposite of whatever that is, because I'm willing to even look at someone with a different religion than I and say that they may be okay too. Damn it all. I could even look at a different gender and think that they may be all right. So I don't know what I call myself, because it's just not racist, right? And if you want to say segregation, that's okay so long as it's by choice. I say no, it's not. It's not okay by choice. You can't have one person deciding to separate others because they feel safe. And here's what it is. You're encouraging, in a group of 10, 5 people who truly would just choose to separate themselves. You're encouraging that by forcing the other 5 to join them. And when you do that, there's no longer choice involved, and it's sick. Is this sounding too intense? Let's get a little bit lighter. Because I don't want to be such a downer, and I can feel like I'm just getting a little tense. and I don't want to be too tense, so let's lighten things up a bit. Oh my God. I clicked on the wrong tab. So a man has died after 2 teens allegedly, did they do it or didn't they? They were arrested and a man is dead, burnt to a crisp. To shreds, you say. A man has died after 2 teens set him on fire. This from Breitbart. A man who was severely burned last week after 2 teens allegedly set him on fire has died from his injuries, police announced this morning. The man, a resident of Rochester, New York, was in his 50s. He had suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns over most of his body. After he was attacked on Friday, he was set ablaze. They dumped a bunch of essentially flammable liquids. They dumped lighter fluid and gasoline on the guy. They tossed a lighter in his lap, lit him on fire, and ran away. He's in a wheelchair, right? So the guy's sitting in his wheelchair. They douse him, light him on fire. He burns, and he's dead. And what's interesting is that they don't tell you whether this is a couple of young white teens and a black older male, or if it's a black male and a couple of white teens. They don't make mention if it's I think I just said the same thing twice. Pardon. Or if it's 2 black teens and a white man, or if it's a couple of Asian young girls. They don't make mention. And it's odd, because you would think if it was any scenario to do with white people doing something wrong, they would tell you about it. But instead, here's just it's just 2 people burning a man alive. Two people burning a man alive? I saw a headline the other day where it was like white cop too aggressive with black man during traffic stop, because there was a complaint filed and a slow news day locally had a complaint being written up as a news story. This is not the same thing, clearly. This is Breitbart just telling you the facts. But you know how conditioned we are to now see it in terms of race, that when you don't see the race announced, here we go, just assuming they're black, right? That was what this was posted on the Patriots.win. It said, guess the race. And then when you do your backup, you find out that it was 2 black kids. But the sad thing is that you have to now guess at it, and it's not really a guess. When the news doesn't tell you they're white, you know what they were. If they don't tell you they were Asian, you know that they were black. And unless they were a victim, they won't tell you at all. And it's sad. It's actually more sad, not to belabor the point, but it's more sad for anyone who's black. Truly, because it makes them the biggest victim in all of this. Now, as a victim of circumstance, and in the future, as a victim of someone else's bigotry of low expectations. This is beautiful, though. Let's move on. This is just a couple of animals fucking up the day of anyone who's trying to sneak their way into the United States. Anyone who's getting a little sneaky sneak coming on. Saying the horror as migrants were attacked by sharks because their boats capsized in the Mediterranean and 31 people were killed. So sad. I'm not saying that people being eaten by sharks is good. But again, the world seems to create memes out of itself, out of thin air. And so you just have to see, hey, look at all these memes that have made themselves. And by the credit of whoever created this, Black Lives Murder on Patriots.win. Elephants wrecking a Muslim refugee camp. A deer injuring 3 and 1 seriously, almost near fatally injured, gored by a deer running through Black Lives Matter marches. So just a little fun haha collage. We can move forward onto some bigger and heavier hitting news. If you didn't see the earlier video on the channel regarding, I guess, what was her name? She was the chick who got Juno'd. Elliot Page. Jeez, look at me go. Dead naming people on a live stream. I'm going to lose my stuff. So I had also mentioned there was a lady who was arrested 5 or so years ago, charged, tried, thrown away in a cell, locked up in a psychiatric ward where you think a murderer is going to stay for a while. But they don't call it murder if you're on a psychiatric break. If you have a mental break, if your brain explodes, if you pop a blood vessel in the frontal cortex and your personality just oozes out into what is essentially a mass murderer or a chronic murderer, as they put it, I guess you're going to be fine. You can be rehabilitated. They can put that part of your brain back together and just allow you to carry on with life. So here you have a nanny who decapitated a 4-year-old girl who now, out free, Lulu, skip to Maloo, just hopping around, get to do whatever I want. Nanny who decapitated the 4-year-old while screaming Allahu Akbar. So doctors said after 5 years at a psychiatric ward, guys, we've solved the problem with this woman. The nice thing is this woman, she really hasn't had any problems since we arrested her and put her into the ward. She's had no problems. Really? You're telling me that without any access to vulnerable victims and being forcibly medicated, someone's not murdering people? Yeah, that's what we're saying. She's fine now. Let her back out. This is her, by the way, when she committed the act. She cut a young girl's head off and then paraded it around. Look, paraded a head around in her hands. This is the girl, right? Sad. I don't want to be on this too long. This is the psycho murderer. This is the person. This is her after she was taken down. This is the head. Unreal. So this woman has an absolute breakdown. Kills because of race. And then they say, well, you know what? She's been cured. You guys, it's 5. It's 5. 5 years is enough, they said. 5 years is enough. Let her out. 5 years is enough for her, but hey, the girl that cuts her genitalia off, that can be for life. That's for life. That shit will not stop. You can't wipe that one away. That one's not something that you can just kind of like, oh, I'm going to go back to the store and get those back. I know I had them removed, but I think I do want them after all. It's terrible. I know it's disgusting and abhorrent. Yeah. Listen, everyone in the chat who's like, oh, this is awful. Yeah, I know that. But the news will not really do much more than just tell you, hey, this woman who killed a girl, 5 years, decapitated her and paraded her head around, and she got 5 years. You will not see that anywhere else. I guess except for in the third page of the Daily Mail, because you got to go digging for that one. Derek Chauvin, the trial in Minneapolis. I know, hard left turn to Minneapolis, but we're going there. I said this 4 days ago in the video, the first day I came back from suspension. I said, we will see, because of the bullshit happening in Minneapolis, you will see Derek Chauvin get off. First, I said he's going to get off because they're going to add this third charge of second-degree murder or third-degree murder that increases now the requirement of them to prove intent to kill. They didn't have to prove that before. They just had to prove that the person that is dead died while interacting with this person and that the actions of that person caused the death in some way. Not that there was ever intent. Now they have to have intent. So I said, at that point, he's off. He's off because they don't have any proof of intent, and they know that. They all know that. We know that. We've known this for a year. Now they say, well, we're going to have to pump the brakes because we're not convinced. The judge doesn't know if we're going to give him that charge or not. So the jury, we can't move forward with the jury. They move forward with the jury anyways. They want to get this thing done. They have buildings boarded up for a couple square miles now in Minneapolis because people are afraid and they're already not open. So they just don't want to get smashed out. Now you saw the other day, the city settles. And included in the settlement is Keith Ellison's son, the Antifa member, I kid you not, receiving in total $27 million from the city of Minneapolis. Now, the state has charged Derek Chauvin. So the state's prosecutor says, listen, we have no hand in this. This is a city issue. Meanwhile, the entire jury pool now just has to see that they are taxpayers. Their taxpayer dollars are going into this settlement. If you were a jury member, if you were a jurist, could you honestly say that you would oversee this trial and not have any kind of withholdings one way or the other, knowing all that you know? Could you say, I've seen a lot of different speculation. I've seen media reporting. I've seen toxicologies and autopsies. I've seen headlines. I've seen celebrity tapes come out. I think I can set all of those aside and be impartial on this jury. I don't think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people don't want to be on the jury. They're terrified of being on it. And the only people that I think the only people locally that want to be on this jury are people that want Derek Chauvin killed. Truly, I believe that's the case. So anyone who's itching to get on this jury, I think they want him dead. If you, however, are just going to answer honestly that you have some preconceived notions based on the fact that the city just gave a ton of your money to this family, and now they expect that you're going to also punish the guy who they're saying is responsible for the death, they're setting it up so that every which way you look, everyone agrees he's guilty. Even the city paid, right? That's what this says. The Minneapolis judge presiding over Derek Chauvin's trial has now essentially considered delaying the trial and moving it out of Minneapolis entirely. If you're in Hennepin County and everyone knows the county just paid $27 million to these people, you can't find one eligible juror who didn't pay taxes. You have to be employed. So if you're going to be a juror who's paid some kind of taxes in the past, that money, you can imagine if you paid even a sales tax. You bought a stick of gum. You bought gasoline. Say you don't work, you bought gasoline. You paid some form of a tax. That tax has been collected by the county, and now property tax, you name it. The county just paid a ton of money to this family. And you're going to say as a juror locally that it doesn't affect your belief in what should happen here. Of course it will. Of course it will. And it's George Kirby. I know I have to say it's George Kirby because if I say it's George Floyd, talk closer to the mic. Sounds like ass. Hey, Cameron. Talk in all caps. You sound like ass. Here's the Epoch Times. Here, I want to leave you with a couple some things to lift you up. So, some things to keep you happier. Because remember, this is supposed to be a float stream and not a sink stream. We're supposed to be happier. You guys can be happy. The Department of Defense, or rather that's the Department of Justice, and the Department of Homeland Security have decided together that China, Russia, and Iran all together did not manipulate the 2020 presidential election results. It's all very interesting. They did not affect the They did not affect the results. They didn't affect the results. I know there's a lot of semantics involved here. China, Russia, and Iran didn't manipulate the presidential election results. Did they fuck with anything else leading up to? Did they mess with the ballots? Did they mess with advertising? What did they mess with? What did they mess with that wasn't results related? Was it anything else? We'd like to know. They say that China looked at it, said, we're not going to, we'll pass, thank you. They said that Russia did try to impact the election in many ways and failed. They said Putin sent out tons of operatives to do this. And that Iran did meddle against Donald Trump just a little bit. But that they said the main problem was people, all kinds of people, Russia, Ukraine, everyone targeting Biden. That is what the Department of Justice has come out and said. As if you thought these things, these three-letter agencies could ever be credible again. You thought that they were incredible when Trump was questioning them and they would question him. Now look at this. It's just open mouthpiece. It's like a kazoo. Whatever Biden and China are humming, you're hearing from the Department of Justice and DHS. And it's sad because you can't trust the DHS. You can't trust the Department of Justice. Cybersecurity agency before Trump leaves office comes out and says with Chris Krebs, hey, nothing happened on the cyber side. It was the cleanest election in history. Cleanest election ever we never had an investigation into. It was the cleanest election that we never once looked at one time. No evidence in court, but a once. What is this? Oh, I just clicked over onto a weird tab. You know, the Epoch Times does have a lot of good stuff. This is an odd article. Doesn't look like it's got a lot of shares, only 5. Look at it be shared now. This is just various types of rope for various tasks. Thick, thin, whatever we need to do in the future. We've got a really great article about all the different types of rope. I'm not kidding. This is from today. This is the biggest hidden gem of the entire internet. If the IRS is looking for hidden gems, they can come right here. Operation Hidden Treasure, look no further than the rope article on the Epoch Times, because this is what we need. We need people to have a little bit of a sense of humor. Hey, I want to hang something that's really heavy up from a tall tree to prove when we have proven guilt that, well, gosh, I don't want to go much further. Say you're a hunter. You want to hang up your trophy deer. You got a buck next season. This is a good article for you to review, to look back on. Have I said too much? So anyways, I thought the rope was a funny thing to end on, as many people will end on a rope. Oh, that's the last one. Okay, before we go anywhere, this is what it looks like on BitChute. The air just kicked on behind me if you can hear it. This is what it looks like on BitChute. Please go and subscribe. Go share this. I'm going to drop a link in the description. So when you say, hey, I couldn't find it, it was impossible to find. Your BitChute doesn't exist. That's not true. This is the Rumble. I don't like Rumble. I think Rumble kind of sucks, frankly. And I only say that because, because if you try to use Rumble often, it lags, and then it makes you reload the page. And as a user, I'm just not happy with it. It's a condenser gain. It's just set for the distance. It sounds like, not sure. Anyways, I am watching the chat, so I appreciate that. All in all that to say, if you could, go to Odyssey. You're on YouTube right now, which means if you're watching this and you're subscribed and all that, you have an account. That means you're willing to set up an account. It takes 3 seconds to go and do the exact same thing over on Odyssey. They have an app if you're an iPhone user. It's pretty good. I mean, frankly, I think it's just as good as YouTube. The app is usable. And honestly, this will help so much more in the future because they're not questioning content. I have alt tech exclusives that go on Odyssey that are not on YouTube. And the last thing I'll ask you to do is this. It's not the last thing. Second to last thing I'll ask you to do is this. This is the backup channel. While I am promoting that we leave YouTube and move to the others, Odyssey, BitChute, and Rumble, it is important that we have some kind of communication on YouTube while we remain on the platform. And so if I get a strike, if I get suspended or banned or whatever else will happen, I'm assuming something will eventually, this is where you go. It's AF's Deep End. That is the channel name. And the reason, here, I'll just drop this link in here as well. Go and subscribe to that right there. Go and subscribe to AF's Deep End. Long term, say there's a miracle. Say there's a miracle and YouTube gets broken off of Google and antitrust happens and YouTube becomes salvageable and people go back on and it's a cool thing. Then I would be using the AF's Deep End to do kind of more long form deep dives, maybe researched bits, like long form, kind of like mini, like half hour or longer videos, full videos. And then the America Floats channel will be what it is. Everything else is exactly what it is on Odyssey, but long term, that's what this will be. Short term, it's the backup channel, and it has the 2 weeks that I was suspended, it has all of the content there. So you can go and see literally every video that I made the entire 2 weeks that I was suspended are all there. Now, the last thing I'll ask you to do, and this is kind of more fun, is to look at, oh, come on. Wow, not that big. Hold on. She's never actually said that before. This is the Patreon that I set up just a couple weeks ago, and the link wasn't working for a while. Granted, the link did not work for a few weeks or a week or so. Now it does. So if you could, go in the description, find this link. If you have $1 that you can afford to pay, it will help hugely. If you have $3, you can call yourself a big noodle to your wife. And there are others. Obviously, there's multiple levels. Again, congrats to Robin Norberg for being the first Patreon or patron. While that will help, that will really just go towards helping put together like a new table or a desk, because this is like a card table that I'm on right now. Try to move out of this small amateur setting that we're in and put ourselves into a tinier but bigger yet. I guess really what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to up the quality. So if that means I can get something that's not taping a camera to a stick in front of a table, that may help. Those kinds of things. And frankly, I've already sunk a ton of time and money into this hobby, and that I love doing for free more than I'm sure everyone else loves watching. All the same, would still appreciate any support you can throw. While we grow, if you could, help me keep America afloat. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching the stream. I appreciate it. Love seeing as many people as we can get on it. It's been fun. And again, I love to do it. Still trying to learn how to stream, so I appreciate it. The audio will get better. I'm trying. Last time, if you didn't catch the last one, it was blown out, worse than Kamala Harris. Now, I guess it was a little too quiet, so we'll figure it out. If you can, stay patient with me, but I appreciate your support, and as always, help me keep